Oh, yes, the NBA season is underway. This is episode 52 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. Stacey, can you believe we've been doing this for a year now? Crazy, isn't it?
Man, it seems like it just started yesterday.
I know, but it's getting bigger and stronger. We're getting sponsors on board, and the show is growing. It's taking off.
We are your favorite podcasters, America.
And Stacey's more than just a basketball guy. He has interest in films and in music. And today we got a special guest coming up in our next segment.
Yes.
Adult film star Kendra Lust, who's also a big sports fan, a big mixed martial arts fan. So that's going to be a fascinating conversation coming up.
Well, it is going to be fascinating because, a funny story is that, when we decided to bring her on, I told my kids, my dad, I got my kids there and they said, hey, Dad, we hear you're going to bring Kendra Lust on. And I said, well, how do you know Kendra Lust? It's like, well, Dad, we really don't listen to your show that much, but since you're going to have Kendra Lust on, I think we're going to watch your show and listen to it. So I was like, wow, family support. Family support right there. The things I do for my kids, look how they turn on me.
Yeah, I'm not interested in you, but Kendra Lust, yeah.
And a lot of people, Mark, that I said that I was going to bring her on.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, when,
yeah,
what day? So she's pretty popular. I can't say that I've actually watched any of the films myself.
Right.
Wink, wink. But I'm a red-blooded American man. Oh, come on now.
If you're watching the show on YouTube, and you really should, it's available on a weekly basis. You can also catch us on all the major podcast carriers, but you see only 2 boxes on your YouTube screen. That's because the Walshes, Stinger and Southside, are not with us today. John's been busy traveling around the country doing Milwaukee Bucks games, and they'll be back with us next week. And Whispers is going to join us for the next segment. He said he would come in to talk to Kendra, but he has some other business he had to take care of first. So it's just Stacey and I getting a chance to talk some hoops, and the Bulls are 4-0. They have the best record in the NBA after one week. That's pretty damn cool, isn't it?
Well, you know what? If you go back to preseason, they've won 8 straight. And that's pretty impressive. I don't care what anybody says. I knew this team was going to be good. It's still early. They've got to meet the really tough schedule coming up, Alligators Row, I call it, where they're going to be tested. But I think when you look at the overall work of what they've done, they're fun to watch. They play hard defensively. They get after everybody. They're in the top 5 defensively in all the categories. And Billy Donovan's done a great job of mixing and matching guys. DeMar DeRozan is turning out to be a godsend.
That's for sure.
You definitely got, there's another closer on this team.
Yeah.
Zach's been closing for the last few years, but, I think DeMar DeRozan has shown you, especially last night when the Bulls seemed like they were coming undone a little bit, having a veteran like DeMar to come in there and settle you down, get the ball, and say, guys, get on my back. I got this. We're not losing this game. That was impressive.
Remember the heyday of Paul Pierce? He always just talk about, I want to get that to my spot and the elbow. And that's like DeRozan in the late game. That game was slipping away. If they didn't have DeRozan in that game against Toronto, they probably would have lost it. But while everyone else was kind of going into hyperspeed and their minds are kind of frying, he just patiently got to his spot. Shots he's made hundreds of times in his career, and he knew he could knock him down.
Well, the thing about DeMar is, and he's been this way since he's been here in a Bulls uniform, he's going to get to where he wants to go. You're not going to dictate where he's going to go. This guy's been doing this for years. He's put up some incredible numbers. He's been one of the best players at his position in the NBA for a long time. And for a lot of people who tried to write him off and said, well, he's not going to be a good addition, you overpaid for him, they need to shut up, because they don't really know what they're talking about. Because this guy, one thing about DeMar, and I was talking to, Jack Armstrong and Leo Rottens after the game last night, and they were
Raptors
saying,
broadcasters.
yeah, the Raptors broadcasters, and they were telling me, they said, hey, the one thing about DeMar that you guys are going to have out of him, he's dependable and reliable. He will not break down. He doesn't get hurt. He'll play in all 82 games. That's one thing about him. And if you watch him, you can tell he loves to play. And he's a competitor. When you're on another team, and you watch these guys on other teams, you only see them once, twice, sometimes 3 times a year. But you respect him as a player. You say, okay, that guy can play.
Oh, yeah.
But you don't know, because you see him 3 times a year. You don't know if he's like that all the time. And you don't know his work ethic. You don't know how his demeanor is on the court. But when he's on your team, you see him in a totally different light. You see how he prepares when he goes out to warm up and how he gets into his rhythm, the shots he's going to take in the game. Now, he's not a three-point shooter, but he has taken some threes this year for the Bulls. He's knocked some threes down. He's hit some threes. But his game is the mid-range games. There's 2 players in this league that are the two best mid-range shooters. I'll probably say three. It's him, Kawhi Leonard, and Chris Paul. Those three players they can get anywhere on the floor mid-range, and it's probably about 65 to 75% chance they are going to make that bucket.
Last couple of games, Zach hasn't been as prolific as he was in the first two. I believe he had a 20-point quarter in one of the early games. And you know, the thing that really impresses me about Zach is his points come really easily. But what I've noticed in these first four games, a real commitment on the defensive end. He's getting his hands on passes, deflections. He's playing head up on his man. And I think that, you know, it's not just words for Zach when he says, I want to win. And he's trying to show that in the court by his all-around play. Well,
I mean, last night we ran a little thing that Zach's never won more than four games in a row. I tried to get them to scratch that, because that's not Zach's fault, And so we wanted to run that. Oh, he won 4 games, and everybody's making a big deal out of it. Scratch that. That means nothing.
Yeah.
Winning 4 games in a row means nothing. I've been on a team where we won 15 games in a row, so it means nothing. And to say Zach hasn't won any games more than 4 games in a row, that doesn't say it was Zach's fault. It was on the team, that the players around him. He's never played on a team this talented. This is a very talented team. He doesn't have to do everything that he had to do last year. Last year, he had to score. He had to get his teammates involved. He had to, in the fourth quarter, take over games for the Bulls to even have a chance to stay close. Not win, but stay close. And this year, as you saw in the early games, DeMar DeRozan is taking some severe pressure off of Zach, because last night, and you saw it last night in the Toronto game, Zach couldn't get going, and they doubled him every time he came off the screen, and they forced him into some situations that he wasn't comfortable in. So it took the ball out of his hands. But DeMar got the ball and said, okay, y'all going to double him. Cool, I'll take this. Right. Ride me now, double me. They couldn't double him because we have shooters on the floor. We have shooters that we didn't have last year. And so the floor is more open, and you can actually drive to the basket and not have clogged up middles, because you have to respect Vooch. Vooch is a big guy. Even though he struggled sometimes with his shot, he's still a guy that you have to respect, because he can knock down threes and he can step off the floor, which brings the defender, which is a rim protector, out of the paint.
You mentioned about DeMar DeRozan, getting a chance to see him every night. That phenomenon has really hit me with Lonzo Ball, because I've seen some Lonzo Ball highlights in the past, the full court passes and the fact he's an improved three-point shooter. But I never knew how tenacious he was as a defender. I mean, he just shuts guys down.
I tell you what, he had Fred VanVleet so frustrated yesterday. I mean, Fred VanVleet had a great game. He had like 17 assists, career high, but that doesn't tell the story. What tells the story is, Lonzo was on him like men in speed stick. I mean, he was on him so tight. He had nowhere to go. The frustration getting over screens. And Fred VanVleet is a strong little guard. I mean, he puts that body from Rockford.
Pride of Rockford.
He puts that body on you. He's like a little bowling ball. But, when you look at Lonzo takes defense personally. I had heard when he was in L.A., when he was there his first couple of years, that he was a very good defensive player. And I saw it when we played him. He was injured sometimes, then he went to New Orleans, and I still don't understand why Stan Van Gundy.
They misused him.
I don't understand what the problem was with this, because, Mark, I've said this on air. When you have the talent, Brandon Ingram, you've got Zion Williamson, and you got Lonzo Ball. Those are 3 cornerstones to build around. You build around those 3 guys. To the way they played that kid and try to take his confidence away from him for no reason. I don't know if it was personal. I don't know if it was Stan Van Gundy had a personal thing against him, but he even throw his name in the trade talks.
Yeah.
24-year-old kid who has the potential to be a top 5 point guard in the league right now. And you're trying to trade him and basically run him off, sit him on the bench, put guys in front of him that he's clearly better than. And Zion Williamson loved him because he threw lobs to him all the time. What I've been more impressed with him is his not only his defense, but his rebounding at the point guard position. Because a lot of those games that we're seeing now, he's coming in and helping, Vooch get rebounds, because we are small. And, you're starting Patrick Williams at the 4, who's really a 3. And so we're really small. So he comes in and rebounds. He snatches some rebounds on a nightly basis that looks like he's about 6'10".
Yeah. And he likes being in Chicago. He's happy to be here. You can see it in his body language out on the court. Because in L.A., that was a rebuilding situation. He was kind of lumped in with Julius Randle and other guys where he wasn't really featured. Then he goes to New Orleans, and it's the Zion and Ingram show. And now he's getting a chance. Billy Donovan's kind of unleashed him and said, play the way you want to play.
Well, I think in L.A., the pressure the pressure of being LA, an LA kid.
Big baller.
The big baller brand, his dad, out in front. And I think that, he's a quiet kid.
Yeah.
Like, he's not like his brother in Charlotte who loves the limelight.
Who's playing great.
I mean, he's playing awesome. But they're two different personalities. Lonzo is a guy that if you know him, you can see he cuts up. He's got some jokes. He likes to play. He's a rapper. He does a lot of different things. But on the court, he's very serious. Like, you don't see him smiling and doing all this other stuff. Now, the younger brother, I mean, he's out there having fun. I mean, he's like the reincarnation of Pistol Pete. Like, he's making passes from 94 feet. He's flashy. The clothes he wears, match. He looked like the other day, he looked like the Riddler. He had all this green on with the green matching green Porsche.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
He's got style and pizzazz. And Lonzo just plays. He's not trying to do any of that. He just comes out there and plays hard every night. You can tell that he wants to win, and he's happy to be here because Billy Donovan has done a great job with him as saying, hey, this is your team. Here's the keys to the car. Run the show. And he's done that.
And you could see after the game, the cameras kind of caught him. He was kind of tapping his chest like, my fault, because he had a couple of turnovers on inbounds plays, which are uncharacteristic of Lonzo. And he took that responsibility on himself. He's like, man, I messed that up. It ain't going to happen again.
Yeah, I mean, he holds himself accountable. And, when you have a player like that, it forces other players to hold themselves accountable. When you see how hard he plays and how hard Caruso plays on defense.
Yeah, Caruso's been great.
I mean, those two guys, the way they compete defensively, I mean, they're both in the top of steals. Caruso's like in the top 3 in steals. So when you see how hard those guys play, Mark, it forces you, if I'm on that floor with those guys, it's forcing you to say, well, I got to step my game up defensively, because I don't want to be the guy that's lacking here. And that's why I think you see DeMar DeRozan, who's turning out to be a very good defensive player. Because I don't remember DeMar being a defensive player. He's always been a scorer. But I've watched in this games here, he gets after people. He gets over screens. He's aggressive. He's strong. And Zach now is watching all this. Just like when he went to the Olympic team, the only way he was going to get on the floor if he played defense. They all knew he could score. But in order to get on the floor and get, meaningful minutes, you got to defend and get over screens. You got to pick up full court. And you're seeing that now in the Bulls uniform. He's getting over screens. He's competing. He's rebounding. And I talked to him last night. We did the interview after the game. And, you think he'd be happy that we won, but he was highly upset with the way they played at the end. You could tell the body language is there. He literally was mad when we interviewed him after the game.
Because they're up by 20. It should have been an easy win.
And he basically said, hey, we should have won that game a lot easier than it was. I mean, he was really down on the way they played, that's what you want out of a leader. You don't want him to be content. You don't want him to go, well, we won, we'll take the win. He was really upset with the way the team played and the way he played as well.
I know you get the same thing on Twitter. A lot of people ask me, what's going on with Patrick Williams? Why isn't he more aggressive? There was one play where the ball swung to him in the corner, and you could see the gears clicking in his head. Should I shoot this? When the reaction is going to be, I'm wide open, shoot the ball. And, in fairness, he's 20 years old. He missed all of training camp. It's his second year in the league. He didn't start in college. I mean, we can make a million excuses, but at some point, the lights got to come on and go, I'm as good as any of these guys. Let me play and let me show what I can do.
I just think with Patrick, it's just his mentality. He's a guy that was a 6-man at Florida State. And we saw a kid last night who was a 6-man at Florida State. And he was highly aggressive. Yeah. And he's been highly aggressive since he stepped in this league. He defends. Scotty Barnes defends. He's long. He's athletic. He can shoot the ball. And he's very aggressive. And I thought, Patrick Williams going up against him, because that's a could have been a teammate had he stayed in school. And, I thought he would rise to the challenge to kind of go at him a little bit. And he didn't, and I think Patrick is still trying to find out where he fits in all this. Because if you look at the starting 5, except for Lonzo only takes what the defense gives him. So if the ball swung 2 or 3 times and he's wide open, he'll take a 3. Okay. If he needs to get to the basket, he'll get to the basket, drop it off the Vooch or whatever. So he's not really looking to score, where you have DeMar's looking to score, Vooch is going to score, and Zach's going to score. Now you've got Patrick Williams out of that 5-man group who has to find ways to score. And how do you do that, Mark? This is how you do it. You got to run the floor in transition. When you get that rebound, you got to get out on that wing and run and try to beat everybody down and get easy buckets. You get in there, you run a pick and roll, they switch the guard on you, you got to go into the post and you got to demand the ball, and then you got to score. They're going to foul you, you got to score. So offensive rebound, shot goes up, go dunk on somebody's head, go get the ball. If you watch the Bulls, they don't get a lot of offensive rebounds. I mean, that shot goes up and there's 5 guys going back defensively. No, normally in those situations, the power forward and the center always are in position to rebound. Your guards are always the ones back trying to get floor balance. But, when the Bulls shoot, there's nobody getting offensive rebounds. The one guy who gets more offensive rebounds than anything is Alize Johnson. He's like Dennis Rodman on the boards. He goes on the boards. Troy Brown will hit the boards. Troy Brown Jr. hit the boards. But, those guys, Patrick Williams, in order to score, you got to do some dirty work because they're not going to run too many plays for you. You can already see that right now. It's just he's got to find where he's going to be on the floor, where his spots are. When they, if you want to watch anybody, watch DeMar DeRozan. Because DeMar DeRozan's got that mid-range game, and Patrick's got an unbelievable mid-range game. He just doesn't use it. He did it in preseason, the first couple of games, but he's kind of got away from it. And that one play you were talking about last night, I called it out on TV because the ball was swung and it was wide open. And he just was like, oh, should I take this shot or should I drive it?
It's too late.
And then they closed out on him, and then he had to pass the ball. And that was the one time he had to shoot.
What do you think about the idea of maybe having him play with the second unit, or maybe they could cater more to his offensive abilities? Because when you were playing with 3 20-point-a-game scorers in Levine, DeRozan, and Vooch, he's not going to get many shot opportunities. And with Kobe White out, they could really use somebody to score a little bit more with that second group.
That's a tough call, because that may hurt his confidence.
Right.
This is a guy who's been starting since his rookie year. And now, and I will give Patrick Williams a pass a little bit because, we talked about him being hurt coming in, but you're asking him now to go from small forward to play power forward, stretch forward.
That's 6'7". Yeah.
It's that's a tough thing for him to do. That's a new position to learn because when he's at the small forward position, he's out on the floor. He's got the ball in his hands much more than what he has at the power forward position. So he's able to create off the bounce and try to get to the basket. Where he's at the forward position, he's setting a lot of screens, popping or diving to the basket, depending on what Vooch is doing on the low post.
Right.
So if he sets a screen and he has to dive, that means Vooch is coming up to the top for a wide open jump shot. So they're not looking for P-Dub on that play. So it's adjustment. He's got to figure it out.
And a lot of times they run that high screen roll with Zach and Vooch, and so he's in the weak side corner. If the ball doesn't reverse, he's just standing there.
But honestly, they've got to try to run some kind of plays for him. At least get him something early.
Yeah.
Say let's run him in the post. Let's run him in the post and try to get his confidence because right now, we're getting ready to go into a tough stretch. He's got some tough matchups coming up this week. You're going to have to guard Julius Randle tomorrow,
Thursday.
Okay,
yeah.
Then you're going to turn around. You're going to have to guard the kid from Utah, the shooter, Joe Ingles. Okay, you're gonna have to guard him. Then you got Paul Pierce, and not Paul Pierce, but you got Jason Tatum, and then Jaylen Brown with Boston.
Right.
And then whoever Philly's gonna have is not gonna be Ben Simmons, but whoever's playing the small forward. So
Tobias Harris.
Well, he's got alligators coming up, man. So all those guys are stretch forward type players.
Yeah,
so he's gonna have his hands full defensively.
Yeah, we're gonna learn a lot about the Bulls in the next coming weeks. Adam mentioned this on the broadcast yesterday. The next 13 games. 12 playoff teams from a year ago, and the Golden State Warriors, who will definitely be a playoff team this year.
I tell you what, America, if you haven't seen Golden State play, they're for real.
Yeah, they're good.
I'm telling you, this is
that Jordan Poole kid is nice.
This is without Klay Thompson and James Wiseman, 2 additions that are going to be in the rotation once they're healthy. But I tell you what, man, that Poole kid, he is. I think he's. I will say this about Steve Kerr. Everybody talked about last year when Golden State was playing all these guys, these no-name guys. Steve Kerr and the management from Golden State, they understood what this was all about. They weren't going to make the playoffs last year. If they do, it's going to be like an 8th seed like they were. But they were all about developing the younger talent.
Yeah, he played a ton of young kids.
The Pools and all these guys. And those guys got their butts kicked on most nights. But in the second half of the season, that experience came along and they started showing development. Mm-hmm. And so now you start adding your positional players, the guys who are actually your core group of players. Draymond Green comes back. Steph Curry comes back who's healthy. You start adding and you keep Andrew Wiggins. Now those guys, Poole and those guys who got all that valuable experience now, are rotational players, are key contributors in your team now. And it shows. Those guys look like, Poole looks like he'll make the All-Star team.
One of the other big stories of the first week, the Charlotte Hornets got off to a 3-0 start. They lost in overtime to Boston on Monday, but LaMelo Ball is playing some great basketball, and Miles Bridges, not Mikal, Miles scored 2 games in a row with 30 points, and he's one of the guys who did not get a big money extension off his rookie deal, and he's showing them that, hey, maybe you made a mistake. I'm going to make some big money as a restricted free agent.
Well, I tell you what, man, you got to, speaking of the Ball brothers, you got to give their father a lot of credit. Because everybody thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was just talking trash.
It's like Richard Williams with that.
Yeah, exactly. They might need to make a movie of LeVar Ball.
They will.
They will. Bringing his kids up and training them and getting them ready. The one thing, when you look at these kids, the Ball kids, okay, they have a great understanding of team concept. Unselfish play.
Right.
They could go out there and score at will if they really wanted to. But those kids, you could tell, have been taught the right way to play basketball. They get their teammates involved. Everyone loves playing with them. They play hard for them, and it's just an amazing thing to watch. So, Hollywood, if you're listening, get ready to make the LeVar Ball story.
Before the 20 draft, everybody was like pissing on LaMelo, going, he's cocky, he takes dumb shots, he's not going to be good enough in the league. And I'm like, man, I hope he falls to the Bulls. I hope he falls. And, obviously Charlotte took him at 3. So many people thought he was going to be a bust.
Well, because, he left his high school team.
Yeah.
He was coming in. I mean, think about this. He's been playing varsity since he was like a sixth grader. So he's been playing with his brother since 6th grade. So that right there told you the kid is mentally tough to play a 6th grader playing against, freshmen and sophomores and juniors. Okay. Then you take him out of high school. Okay. And you put him in situations overseas. Away from his family, away from his brothers, and he has to learn how to do certain things. And then he came back and played on a traveling high school team. So the kid, if you watch him over in was it Australia or New Zealand, wherever he was playing at, you saw skills. You saw, I always thought he was one of the best passers I've ever seen. I mean, even as a young kid coming up, you can watch him in some of his highlights. You could tell that he has really good fundamentals and that he could pass the basketball. And now that he's gotten size, because remember, he grew like 2 or 3 inches.
Yeah, he's legit 6'7" now.
6'7", 6'8". Yeah. I mean, he's legit. So now you got him at the point guard, 6'8", can still shoot it with range, and he's long and athletic. He's throwing lobs to everybody. He threw a 94-foot pass like he was a quarterback the other night.
That's right.
And it was on a dime. I think it was to Hayward, who out-jumped the defender and got it and laid the ball up. I mean, just took it and flicked it down there. I mean, when most people would have had to wind up to throw it, he just flicked it out there. So he's like the second coming of Pistol Pete Maravich. When you look at, old video of Pistol Pete was way ahead of his time.
Oh, way ahead. No question about it. And, we talked a little bit about Miles Bridges didn't get paid and some of the guys who did. Want to congratulate Daniel Gafford, who kind of, he was fighting his confidence here in Chicago, but he's playing well at Washington. He got a nice deal, nice extension.
Well, he should send a note to, to Russell Westbrook.
Yeah,
seriously.
Russell Westbrook helped him find his game.
Russell Westbrook really helped him develop and find his game. We always knew he was a dunker, but playing with Russ and playing the pick and roll, Russ really set him up and gave him confidence. And so that really got him paid. And then he came out here and he's earned it. I mean, he's earned it. And, you look at all the guys that we had here. I've called their games. I always like to see those kids have success. Like, I want to see Wendell Carter got paid. Wendell Carter Jr. got paid. So you want to see those guys have success. Larry Marketing just posterized the Joker last night, and he looks like he's playing with confidence. And those guys have gone somewhere. They might not have worked out here, but they've been able to go somewhere else, get their confidence going, and now they're reaping the rewards of that.
Yeah, I like Daniel Gafford. I thought it was a steal as a second-round draft pick, but for whatever reason, he couldn't win over Billy Donovan, and sometimes you have to go somewhere else to be able to get that opportunity. Now he's a starting center with the Wizards, and he's fitting in real well with the mix of players they have.
Well, I thought with Daniel, what happened with him was he had success that first year. Yeah. And then he came in the second year, and it was like, I made it. I'm here now. I've arrived, and didn't come in probably in the best of shape. Didn't come in with the best of attitudes. And I think when you got a new coach like Billy Donovan coming in, and he's judging you on what you're doing now, not so much what you did last year, then that's where the problem is. And I think, Daniel probably thought, well, I was great last year, so y'all going to judge me on that. No, you're going to judge you on what you're doing now, because that's all they've seen. They weren't here last year. Billy Donovan didn't coach your first year. So, it was tough to see him go. because now we could use that depth, big guy coming behind Vooch now.
Yeah, we could use it now.
We could use that now. But at the same time, man, I'm glad to see that he's doing well. I'm glad to see those guys got paid.
So you've renamed the waiting room for used to be the Sriracha green room, or?
Well, it used to be the Sriracha green room, but now it's the boom boom room. Then, because we had Kendra Lust on, so it's the boom boom room. That's what we call it now, the boom boom room. Before
we get to Kendra, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Joakim Noah night coming up on Thursday. I mean, we love Joe, and it's going to be so wonderful to see the crowd salute him. A full house at the United Center, people excited about the Bulls, and they're going to give Joakim a hero's welcome coming in.
I'm really excited about it because Joakim's always been one of my favorite players. The kid, I remember when he got drafted, I remember people, I'm not going to name any names, America, but there were some people that was very close to me that thought Joakim was going to be a bust and bet me that he was going to be a bust.
I think that people can figure out who that might be.
And then I'm not going to say anything, America.
No.
I'm keeping it. I'm not going to throw anybody in the bus. But when I went to go collect, they didn't want to pay me. They said they supported him all along. They jumped on the bandwagon. You know? So, but the kid is the heart and soul of those teams. Derrick Rose was the leader. Derrick Rose, well, he's not the leader. Derrick Rose was the heart and soul of the team as far as his athleticism and the quiet leader. But Joakim was the heartbeat. Yeah. And then you had Luol Deng that gave you toughness. And there were so many of those guys, Kurt Heinrich,
Taj
Gibson, that all contributed to that team being a special team. And Joakim, I'm telling you, man, has always been one of my favorite. The one thing I like about Joe is not only is he a great basketball player, he's a great person. And he, his foundation, the things he does off the court, trying to stop gang violence. He used to bring gang members versus the police officers in basketball, trying to make a difference and trying to, ease the gap and tension between, the inner city and the police. And I thought that was awesome, and speaking to gang members, trying to get them to reform. There's a lot of stuff that, he did that a lot of people didn't know. And he didn't, he's not one of those guys that go out there and beat his chest. I do this, I do that. Does everything with the goodness of his heart.
Well, the people will definitely salute him coming up on Thursday night. It's going to be a special evening at the United Center. Another guy who rides thick and thin with us is our buddy Jeff Vukovich at Nationwide Insurance. We always appreciate him. He's on board sponsoring the show, and we appreciate him. So if you have insurance needs when it comes to some insurance for your auto, home, and business, you want to contact the king of insurance, Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich at jeffvuk.com. That's JEFFVUK.com. And Stacy always entertains the folks with his golden pipes, and we're happy to salute Jeff Vukovich on this happy Tuesday evening.
America, I'm playing imaginary piano. Nationwide is on your side. Woo! Oh, the imaginary piano. Oh, baby. Oh, that was sweet.
A Tuesday happy hour version. We want to thank Jeff for his great support. He's been with us for a number of weeks now, and we look forward to more people coming on board as this show continues to grow. If you want to contact the show, remember we have a special email set up for your advertising inquiries. It's contactgths@gmail.com, or if you have some questions for Stacy or anybody in the crew, we'd be happy to answer those as well. So get ready, folks. Buckle up. Coming up next, it's our special guest, Kendra Lust, on episode 52 of Gimme the Hot Sauce.
Gimme the hot sauce.
If you like hot sauce and barbecue sauce, then you're listening to the right show. Gimme the hot sauce.
Yeah, Bob, I like that.
Organic sauce to spice up your kitchen. Chicago-style red sauce with a garlic twist. Our St. Pat's Verde.
Let's do this
green
a quick
sauce
segment
with
and we'll
extra
get out.
avocado and
We'll just do a little Bears
and our King's Q,
World
a
Series.
bold,
We'll
spicy,
get out of here.
and sweet sauce.
So just a little music coming in.
Use code HOTSAUCE21 to get 21% off of your first order.
You know what?
That's HOTSAUCE21 for 21% off of your first order.
That's great.
Order today for the holidays.
Give me the hot sauce.
I think that's the most special musical bed we've ever had for a guest, and certainly worthy as we welcome in film star Kendra Lust, who's also a big sports fan, Michigan native. And I guess the first question we got to ask you, Kendra, is how in the world did your paths cross with our friend Stacey King?
I think it's just social media. It has connected so many people on so many different levels. And corresponded via Instagram, and it's really that's it. I've never actually met him, so hopefully one day.
MMA fans.
MMA fans. John Huang also made us cross paths as well. So
yes. How can I forget John?
Yeah, John's big. Yeah, he's a big guy. He helps out a lot with me.
He is awesome. Actually, I need to talk to him about something. It's good stuff, but it's like I'm like, shoot, I need to follow up with him. So
this isn't person-to-person communication, Kendra. He's probably listening to the podcast. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, he listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
He's a big fan of the podcast.
He will.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have you on here.
We'll get the message out.
You spiced up the show. We got a star on here right now. Yeah,
I like to keep things spicy.
Yeah. We were just talking before we came on. We see that you're repping the Pistons jersey right there. I think that's Chauncey Billups' #1 jersey.
No, it's a Kendra Lust. Kendra Lust #1
jersey. She's #1, but Chauncey wore #1 as well. So, so we see you're a big Pistons fans. Tell us about your love of the Pistons and any of the pro teams in Michigan.
Well, I was a Piston fan a long time ago when my dad in first grade had me dribbling. I mean, this was first grade. He used to coach a boys rec league. So I was like the boy he never had. So I don't know, lab rat, call me whatever. So here I was after school, first grade, dribbling in and out of, like through chairs, so I didn't really have a choice. So needless to say, I was a good ball handler then, and I'm a good ball handler now. Okay. No pun intended, but so he was, he taught me, a lot about basketball, and I was a tomboy. So I wanted to hang out and see what he was doing and compete against the boys. So I loved the Pistons back then, and Isaiah Thomas was my favorite. So that's how I got my high school number, Isaiah Thomas. And I just remember, my dad talking about, the Pistons, and he loved watching them play the microwave, Vinnie Johnson, Bill Laimbeer. So, they were the bad boys for a reason. And my dad was interested. And of course, being a kid, I wanted, to know what my dad was into, because, as a kid, you want to please your parents. So I was, grew up watching sports and fell in love with basketball at a very young age.
Did your dad tell you that the Pistons lost to the Bulls and we ended their title run? And that jersey that you have behind you, that was one of the big reasons why we ended the Detroit run? Did he tell you that, or he didn't want to break your heart because you were a little girl?
I was tough. So no, absolutely. Obviously, the history more than I do, but, I love the Pistons, however, when I started dating my now husband, he was the biggest Michael Jordan fan ever. I have boxes of unopened. I have Wheatie boxes. I don't even know what he has.
It's like the tub, Stacey.
Yeah, the tub. Yeah, Stinger's tub. Yeah. We got a guy who collects everything.
So then I really started to gravitate more towards the Bulls. So I kind of, I don't want to say turn my back, but Michael Jordan was just someone who we've never seen again. And in my opinion, Kobe, God rest his soul, was to me the closest thing to Jordan, period. But I wasn't upset. I just developed a new love for the Bulls and much respect for them. So pretty cool.
Yeah, you got the picture behind you with Michael and his arm around Kobe. I mean, obviously, he was kind of a mentor to Kobe throughout his career. Did you ever meet either of those guys?
I did not. I saw both of them play. I was at Kobe's last game when he played in Cleveland, which is really cool. I did not meet either of them, though. I mean, I don't get starstruck too easily. Like, I'm just kind of like, I treat everybody how I want to be treated. And I think, we're all equal, right? Equal playing field. However, if I were to meet Michael Jordan, I don't even know what I would say. I would be speechless. And there are very few people that can do that to me. So, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, you're pretty popular. I mean, I have my sons, my sons who are in their 20s, when I told them that you were going to be on the show, they said, Dad, we haven't listened to any of your podcasts, but we're going to listen to this one. So I'm like, wow, that's what I got to deal with my sons. They didn't listen all year. We've got 52 episodes and 53 episodes. They haven't listened to one, but they knew you were coming on. So they wanted to watch it. Yeah, saucy.
Sports stars.
Well, yeah, I guess, I mean, that's a good thing. I'm grateful for that. And I don't know. We'll talk about that later, but yeah, I mean, I love what I do, but, and I kind of mentioned it to you earlier before we kind of got on, like, I love what I do. However, I feel I have more to give and more to do. I was a nurse before I got into adult. So there is a part of me that really misses giving back. So I'm very low key doing charitable things because that's what truly fulfills me. I don't know, but I love what I do and I'm grateful. So I'm glad that your sons and everybody else who likes me is watching. So thank you.
How did you start your podcast? How did that come together?
So the podcast was just out of, honestly, I stopped filming for professional companies probably 3 years ago, and I just started to do my own thing on my OnlyFans, and then I developed helped develop some platforms for talent, and started a couple of businesses locally. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to shoot anymore, but I still love it. However, I want to do something fun and just kind of let loose. So I crossed paths with Julian Marquez, and at that time he was injured, and I never knew if he was ever going to fight again. And I don't know at that time if he knew or thought he was going to either. And he had this passion, and him being a former UFC fighter for MMA. And I thought, how cool would it be? Like, I could get his perspective on MMA, and he's interested in some of the people in my industry. So maybe we could kind of go back and forth, talk a little bit about, I don't know if I can say it, like sex and intimacy, women and sports, and maybe just do something fun. So I was like, yeah, let's just do it. And we just started it, and yeah, we're just kind of chugging along.
Did you coach him on the Miley Cyrus comments?
I don't
he was
even know where
begging. He was
that
begging
came
for the
from.
date with Miley Cyrus. Oh no, I saw that on the UFC fight.
Post fight.
Oh, post fight. I was like, oh no, he's shooting his shot. Wow.
And I love that, though. He is fearless, and he is like zero, what's to give. So I like that about him. He's a few years younger. I think he's like, I don't know exactly, but in his 30s, like early 30s. Might not even be 30. Don't kick my butt, Julian. But, he's living his best life, and like, he called her out, but it was really cool. I think she's awesome. She responded, and it was just kind of cool. It was a great PR move. And I guess, hey, he's got the hots for her. I mean, she's fun and a free spirit. So who wouldn't? Go Miley.
It is an epic beard. I'll give him that.
For sure.
And the podcast is called Beauty and the Beast, right? So
yeah, and then I feel like I'm like, some days, like, I'm the beast. Like, let's be real. You're the beauty, because I'm just like, look at this hair, and like, whatever. And at any given day, I can be the beauty or I can be the beast. It just depends. So.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you guys have that dynamic. You have a good time. You talk about everything. I mean, but MMA seems to be the main thing. And I've seen you do some things for MMA. So tell us how you became a fan of the mixed martial arts.
Well, I truly had I've always admired people who have taken any sport, whether it be soccer, basketball, football, MMA to the next level. Because when you think about it, they're like 1% of 1%. So you making it, you were pretty big in Oklahoma, I believe, right?
Yes.
Okay. Taking it to the pros is just, I don't know, that amount of dedication and hard work I have. And it gives me chills, because that just wasn't me. My path just went a little different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I've always had an admiration for people who, elite athletes. So when our little one decided to box at 6.5, I was like, okay, where's this coming from? And she actually is really good. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the parent that will say, okay, no. She's like, oh, I want to do parkour. I'm like, are you saying park? Like, I didn't know what that meant. Like, parkour is like a thing in California. I'm like, repeat that and spell that. Like, what are you, anyway. So, but she wanted to do like gymnastics at 10, and she can barely do a cartwheel. I'm like, I'm going to be real with you. You're good at a lot of things. gymnastics, not one of them. I said, these 3-year-olds are going to run circles. I'm the parent that keeps it real. I don't sugarcoat, but I'm just very like, I guess, practical, and I'm not going to set my kid up for failure. Anyway, so she got into it, and she's really good. She has a very, I would say her boxing IQ for 10 is she's good, and she works hard. And so that was really my reason, and the reason why I guess I became interested in, jujitsu and Muay Thai and just trying to make connections, because I wish, I guess maybe I had that push, or maybe I had those connections being younger. Maybe things would have been different. And, I don't regret anything, but I just want to pave the way for my daughter and just help her make connections. She's got to put in the work, because I always say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So, you got to put in the work, but if I can, make your path or your journey a little bit easier, that's what I want to do. So
you don't allow the bare knuckle boxing with your daughter though, right?
Oh, I don't want her to do that. No,
you're a fan of that too.
It's that, like, I'm happy to help, sponsor and whatever, for people that want to do that, but I would not want that for my daughter. It's hard for me to watch. I don't know. I guess that maybe
it's hard. It's hard for me to watch, and I like all combat sports, but it's hard for me to watch.
It's barbaric, and there is a demographic for that, and I respect that. I think those 4-ounce MMA gloves protect your hands. They protect your, you from breaking things, and it's just, I don't know. It's just different. So. I don't know. I love bare knuckle. I have the most respect for the organization, Dave Feldman, and everybody involved. But I want my daughter obviously to do whatever makes her happy, but I prefer her Bellator or UFC, where there's a little bit of protection. So,
yeah. I'm not a fan of the bare knuckles. I've seen some dudes get messed up in that. I'm just not a big fan of that.
It's straight up street fighting, right?
Yes.
Like,
I mean, if I had back in the day, we used to bare knuckle, okay?
Yes,
but for some reason, like, when you bare knuckle in the street, it was like bang, 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 over. Maybe you got a bloody nose here and there, your eye cut. But this is really, really like graphic. Ooh, like it's not like a regular street fight. It's like
it's the old tough
I'm
man.
surprised some people didn't. It's like the old 1900s when they used to box without the gloves. That's what it kind of John K. Sullivan. I'm not a big fan of it, but I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah. I have the utmost respect for those guys, because they're all athletes as well.
For sure. So hey, whatever floats your boat. I always say judging isn't loving. And, I try to teach my little one that, and she's more like my husband, a little bit more raw and unfiltered. And she's like, judging isn't loving. This positive, because I really try to be positive. And, I've seen a lot of death in my life, and I don't take life for granted. And I know that at any time, none of us are promised tomorrow. And, so I just try to kind of teach her that, like, just be positive, enjoy each day, and make the days count. So, yeah.
Well, I tell you what, like, just watching some of your videos on Instagram, you're into fitness as well. You do a lot of stuff behind the scenes with fitness. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, when I was in high school, it was my freshman year, and I was playing basketball, and our team completely sucked. Okay. But I was a freshman who was moved to varsity. I don't know, for whatever reason. Coach Godman, Chuck Godman, I know you're still out there, but we don't know why you moved, but you did.
Oh, you just going to throw Chuck under the bus? Did you just throw Chuck under the bus?
No, he moved up to varsity as a freshman.
I was getting ready to say, I was like, hey, leave Chuck alone there, Kendra. Wow.
No, I love Chuck. He's awesome. He actually came to one of the AVNs and was met one of my friends, and anyway, long story short, Chuck was the man. He was awesome. So I don't know, for whatever reason, but I was really small in comparison to a lot of the other girls. And I was like, man, I need to get like in the weight room. But back then they called it the mezzanine. So at 14, I was, trying to like watch some of the guys, and I'd run with the guys in the hallway, or, I would stay after to run and try to get stronger and whatever, bigger to be able to Wow, that was a bone, my dog.
Oh, I was like, what was that? I might have been Chuck trying to
he
get
has
it.
this big bone, and it's like one of those Nyla bones.
Yeah.
Don't step on it in a white.
Stacy knows all about dogs.
Yeah, I know all about dogs.
Oh.
Yes. I got some little puppies,
got
little
two
American
puppies.
pocket bullies there.
Yeah.
Love those little guys.
So I just, from the time I was 14, I started to kind of develop, like, I don't know, just feeling the need to work out to get stronger, to be able to, I don't know, hang with the varsity girls, because I was always smaller and, a little bit.
How's your fight game coming? How's your fight game coming, Kendra?
Oh, my fight game. Oh, weak sauce over here. Not going to lie. Like, it is what it is. I'm a little weak sauce. That's what they say. Weak sauce is like a big insult these days. They're like, yeah, she called me weak sauce. I'm like, weak sauce. Like, who cares? They're just words, whatever. But a weak sauce is like a big insult, like with the 8, 9, and 10-year-olds, right? So yeah, but let's be real. I'm all right. I know some self-defense. Like, don't come up and choke me from the back, because I will handle it. Okay.
Ooh.
I do carry a 38.
Yeah.
Okay. 38 special, no hammer, because I am the type, I'll get a little flustered and probably hurt my thumb. So no hammer, laser. So I can't panic and I won't miss. Little 15 ounces.
Well, that's an
I'm
equalizer.
good. You always got to be packing. It's a different world these days.
Yes. Yes, that is true. It's wild west.
So, but I love watching it. Like I said, some basic stuff. However, I do hear, if you get to blue belt in jiu-jitsu, you can submit 99% of the population. I'm not there yet, but I'm coming at you.
Really? I've seen you choke some people out. That's why I was like, man, she's pretty good.
Yeah. I've choked a couple out. Talk to my husband. No, just kidding, my husband. No, he's awesome. He's my high school sweetheart. I met him when I was 8. And we've been together for a very long time. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Kendra, I know that our audience would be disappointed if we didn't ask you at least one question about the adult film industry. Tell us.
Hey, I'm an open river.
Yeah.
Let's be real. I'm transparent. So
There's obviously so many misconceptions about what goes on in the filming of a lot of these films. What kind of safety is regulations and things are in place so that as an actress you feel comfortable in doing these scenes?
That's a good question, because when I started in 2012, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. However, we have evolved as an industry. I think just in general, society has evolved since then. And, now I think we always had like a guideline, like what are your yeses? What are your nos? So, when you go into a scene or you go to work with somebody else, okay, don't do this, don't do that. Like, I'm not okay with this, or I'm not okay with that. But what I like to do, I would say, hey, I've never worked with you before. Is there anything you're not comfortable with? Or do you have a no list? Or, because at the end of the day, we're professionals and we're acting, and it's a sexual art, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to call it.
So if a guy yells, "Give me the hot sauce," you tell him to stop, right?
Hey, repeat that, Mark.
Mark, that's Mark. That's Mark.
If a guy yells, "Give me the hot sauce," you tell him to stop, right?
I would. Although, I'm telling you, give me the hot sauce. Oh, hell no. Unless I'm pouring it into your mouth. No hot sauce. Nope.
It's the name of the show, Kendra. Play with the gang.
Yes.
She also carries a 38, so
I know.
Give me the sauce. Like, if they said, give me the sauce, I would just like go with it. Whatever. But give me the hot sauce. Another level.
Oh, wow.
well, that could
Stacey,
be,
your
could be
question.
something new.
So Kendra, how many years were you actually in the business?
Okay, so I started in 2012, and I shot my last scene in 2018. So 6-7 years, maybe, so I'm still technically still in the industry. I just don't actively perform, because at this point, I don't really have to follow anybody else's rules. I call my own shots, and I'm not saying like, oh yeah, but it's just, I've done everything I wanted to do in the industry. I've directed, I've produced, I I owned an agency. I've won awards. It's like,
She's the GOAT.
okay, I don't know what else to do.
Because
wow.
that's what happens when you have a game plan when you initially start. You say you want to be in the business a certain period of time, and then you want to evolve from being an actress to, say, work behind the film, be a producer, kind of like Jenna Jameson and those guys, what they've done in the past.
Sure. And I think just me getting in a little bit later, I had more of a plan, or, what I want to do by 5 years, or this is, invest this much, or, so I had a little bit, there was more purpose, I guess, behind what I was doing, opposed to just like, hey, yeah, and I don't ever judge anybody. Everybody, I always say, if I were like 18 or 19, who knows what I would have done? Who honestly knows? I would have probably been so stupid, blowing my money. I mean, that kind of money coming in, I wouldn't have been smart. So, this is just what I did because of my situation, and, everything is relative, right? So, yeah, I really executed. I did more than I thought I was going to, and I'm happy with that. So now I'm have the opportunity to help, other girls, and I'm involved with new platforms and developing different strategies for, I guess, moving outside of the business, and just doing other things, multiple revenue streams, and not just an adult. So,
but pre-show,
you gotta have a game plan.
Pre-show, Kendra, you said just like a boxer not ready to hang up the gloves, you said you weren't ready to hang up the thong. So what do you mean by that?
Meaning, like, I feel like age is a number, and there's different strokes for different folks, right? There's a demographic for this, that, and I still feel, like a sexual woman, and I feel proud of my body and my sexuality. So I enjoy still doing what I do. So I just do it on a more selective level. I have a team that helps me with certain aspects of the work that I do. And I just kind of do what I want when I want, which is really nice. And so I'm still involved with adult, but then I can work on other businesses locally, and, things that I'm passionate about. So I'm really grateful for the life that it has afforded, myself and my family. And
you should become Rogan's sidekick outside the cage. That's what we think here.
Oh, I don't know, man. He is incredible. I love him. How awesome is he, right? He really is. He's awesome. I am not there. I'm more of a spectator, not so much a commentator, so I still like to have fun. I don't want to just be so involved that I don't really, I'm looking at the, the strategy behind every fight, or, just trying to like get in their heads. I still want to enjoy it and still have fun. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
So tell our listeners, because like when we grow up as athletes, we envision being like, Dr. J, or, whoever we may idolize in our particular field. So, you getting into this business, who was it that you looked up to and you idolized to get into this business? Because you had to have someone that you looked up to that you said, hey, I like the way she carries herself. I like the way she acts. So was there someone in particular?
Yeah. Well, there was. However, I always say, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't say it. So there was this one woman in particular. However, what she portrayed and who she really was were completely different. So, unfortunately, I don't want to really say. However, after I realized, like, wow, she's crazy, I really started to take notice of people who were a driving force into, I guess, making change and to paving the way for, the newer girls, and I guess who were kind to and open, kind of open the doors, and were not insecure, and, so just like positive people. So Julianne is to me one of the most iconic women in the adult industry. She has been around since Janine and Julia, and I'll never forget the time I was on set, and we were doing this there were a lot of lines, and I get a little bit nervous public speaking. So I had a lot of lines to remember. And I'm thinking, who really watches this for the lines, right?
Tim does it.
Like,
I love the plots.
yeah, but I'm like, but I have to convey it with conviction. I have to. And I just kept messing up because it was Julianne, and I was in such awe, remembering like watching it with my guy and just back in the day. And so for her to like take the time, and she was just so cool about it and just said, hey, do that. And she was just so nice. And she's such a leader and just sexy. Whew, so sexy. And just, she's awesome. So for me, like she's one of my inspirations in the industry for sure.
Well, I got to tell you, you win the award. Another award for you is for the most engaged Timmy Whispers has ever been during one of our guest segments.
Yes.
A lot of times we have a tough time getting him to ask one question. He's hovering over the microphone, ready to pounce today.
He's sweating right now. He's like, it's getting moist. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Mark just did that to you, Timmy. Look at that smile. I like your smile, Timmy, and I love that.
That's
I like
right.
Yes, Whispers. Yes, this is the most he's ever spoken.
Yes,
seriously.
You know what? It's all good.
Yes.
I mean,
You brought out the best in me.
Hey, he should tell you his Ron Jeremy story. Tell your Ron Jeremy story real quick.
Yeah, tell that story for people who haven't heard it.
What?
Come on. I was a young man back in
We all were a young man one day.
Went to this club in L.A. and walked in, and Ron Jeremy was standing there with Sylvester Stallone.
See, he's another one.
Yeah.
Jordan Stallone. Okay.
Finish your story there, Tim.
Finish the story.
There's more.
So I walked up and shook hands with Ron Jeremy, and he was like, "Nice to meet you." And I said, I didn't know what to say, so I just said, "Hell of a penis," and walked away.
No, you didn't.
He did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Oh, Timmy, that is the best one-liner I have heard in a long time.
And then as Stacy said at the time, so you didn't talk to Stallone? Isn't he the big movie star? And I said, no, I saw more Ron Jeremy films than Stallone films at that point in my life. So it was, that's really, he was the bigger star to me back then.
Oh my God. Yeah. Forget about what is it? The Rocky movies and the whatever Green Beret. What was the other damn
Rambo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rambo. Oh my God.
But people forget Stallone did start off in adult film as well.
What?
And David Duchovny, and there's a few more.
See, this
Tim has researched this project.
Tim was watching those videos. He wasn't researching nothing. He's the only one that knows these kind of things. I didn't know David Duchovny was in there. I just thought he was in X-Files. I didn't know he was a...
Why do you think they call it the X-Files?
He's in rare form today, America.
Whispers.
Oh my
We
God.
have a true adult entertainment historian, aka Timmy Whispers.
I got one more question for you before we let you go. So
Sure.
you know in your industry, it used to be male dominated, where they dominated the producers, the directors. How has it changed over the years now that women are taking more of a lead and more control of doing these films and being in charge of the films?
Oh my God. No, I'm just saying we're a bit more meticulous. So, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I've only dealt with one male director, who was so, I never really had any issues with any directors. So to answer your question, let me keep it short and sweet. It's a good thing, I think, for the gender, right? More autonomy for women and more empowerment. And that's great, equal playing field. Okay. However, I feel like sometimes we're a little bit too meticulous, and I'm guilty. I'll be like, oh my God, like this. Or my husband's like, nobody's looking at that. Like if they're looking at that, they're not, no, just stop. So, I think sometimes we overanalyze things a little bit, and maybe we lack the ability to just kind of, I don't know, overlook, the little things that don't matter. So, but all in all, I think it's a positive thing. And I think both. There's incredible male and female directors, so, but it's nice. It's refreshing. It's good. It's a good thing for all of us. So.
Well, Kendra, we want to thank you for being such a good sport. letting us mess around here on Gimme the Hot Sauce. We will actually send some of the Stacy's official hot sauce your way, and maybe you can send Timmy an autographed picture to add to his collection. I have a feeling he's got a room somewhere in his house.
He's got Ron Jeremy's chest hair in a package that he showed me, and I was just like, what is this? It's his chest hair. I got it. I'm like,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
This is a serious guy over here, Kendra. So make sure you send him an autographed picture.
I love it. Thank you guys so much for having me and taking the time to just have me hang out. So I'm grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kendra.
The great Kendra Lust, number one in your hearts, number one on your screen. And we're going to come back with more Gimme the Hot Sauce after we towel off and a quick timeout.
After we wipe off.
Roll the music, Pablo.
Oh, get it, Pablo. Woo! Windy City Limousine provides championship service. Making a reservation is so easy, it's a slam dunk. Let Windy City break the full court pressure of traffic and get you to your destination in style and on time. Contact us at 866-94-WINDY. That is 866-94-WINDY. All right, ready? Angel Water is Chicagoland's largest water conditioning service for healthy water for healthy you and a healthy home. Water makes up 60% of your body and 75% of your brain. Angel will test your water for free. Code KING21. Call 847-382-7800 for a free water test and healthy water plan with code KING21 at 847-382-7800. It's what I have used for over 20 years. If you like hot sauce and barbecue sauce, then you're listening to the right show. Gimme the Hot Sauce has the best small batch organic sauces to spice up your kitchen. Chicago-style red sauce with a garlic twist, our St. Pat's Verde green sauce with extra avocado and cilantro, and my favorite, King's Q, a bold, spicy, and sweet sauce just like me. Use code HOTSAUCE21 to get 21% off your first order. That's HOTSAUCE21 for 21% off. Order today for the holidays. And remember, she'll like it too.
Yes, indeed. Episode 52 of Gimme the Hot Sauce. Hard to believe we've been doing this for a full calendar year. It's hard to believe we got a star like Kendra Lust to come on the show. You know, they always say you don't want to follow someone who kills on a program. You don't also want to follow an adult film star on a podcast, right, Stace?
Yeah. You know, Timmy Whispers over here sweating and getting wet. And
he's gone, as you can tell.
Yeah, he's gone.
He had to leave immediately.
Gotta go shower. Go shower.
He's telling his Ron Jeremy's story. He had to leave in embarrassment, I think.
I tell you what, America, it was the funniest thing because as you know, if you follow this show for 52, 53 episodes, you know Tim only says like one word a show. This is the most animated.
He was totally engaged.
Yes, he was engaged in this. As soon as he started talking about adult film star, he was like, he just started licking his lips. He was all ready to go, and it was funny watching him in his element.
Yeah. Hey, Pablo, you got the rifles? You think you got the rifles? Rapid fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear him. See, that's what we usually get from John. John's there we go. All right. Stacey's been shot.
I've been shot.
You know who else has been shot is poor Justin Fields. Ooh. That right tackle, Pig Simmons, man, oh man. They had to get him out of the game because he would have got Justin Fields killed.
Listen, here's why. Listen, America, Bears fans. This is what I suggest we do. When I used to coach youth football, okay, and my son was a quarterback, and the kids was letting people just come in, you know. Yeah. So I told him, I said, all right, guys, here we're having a hard time blocking, okay. So here's what we're gonna do. As soon as we hike the ball, I want everybody just to fall down on all fours. They're either gonna have to make a choice. They're gonna have to go around you, or they're gonna try to stumble over the top of you. They
might trip.
Yeah, they might trip. So I'm suggesting, it worked in youth football. It worked. We scored touchdowns off of it. So I'm suggesting that the offensive line for the Bears, as soon as he says hike. Just fall down on all fours, and then maybe they'll go around you, or maybe they'll trip going over the top of you.
You know, as if things aren't bad enough, the Bears have had problems with COVID. Everyone's heard the news that the head coach, Matt Nagy, has tested positive, and you know, they lost their starting right tackle before then. So this kid, Latavius Simmons, a 7th-round draft pick, and they give him the nickname Pig, which is unfortunate when you play like that. And they had to take him out to bring in a free agent and undrafted guy named Alex Bars, who did better than Pig. But, you know, I mean, you're asking Justin Fields to try to assimilate all the nuances of being an NFL quarterback, and then he gets less than 2 seconds to throw. I mean, he didn't play great, but you're almost setting him up to fail.
Well, I mean, listen, we knew this was going to happen. We knew it. It didn't matter who you put back there. If it was Andy Dalton, he'd probably been injured. Okay, so they need to address the offensive line. They need to go, whatever you have to do, go spend money. Whatever you got to do, go do it. Because if you want this kid to last, listen, all the stuff you talked about Trubisky, okay? Oh, Trubisky this, Trubisky that. You're going to see the same thing people are going to be saying about Justin Fields in a few years if they don't get that offensive line fixed. It's not the quarterback's fault. It's not the quarterback's fault. Now, you see that now. It's the offensive line, and then also not having legitimate weapons for this kid to throw. You know, where are all these receivers that, you know, they're supposed to go? Guys are dropping passes, you know, and you're playing Tampa Bay. You know, Tampa Bay's a Super Bowl champion. How do you not get up to play those guys?
Yeah, Tom Brady, another 4 touchdown passes, over 600 for his career. How about that deal they made with the guy? If I'm that guy caught the ball,
he would never got the ball.
He could have got a lot more.
No,
He's supposed to get like an autographed jersey and a different ball. He could have held out for more.
They said just the minimum it was worth $600,000, just minimum. Okay, so what do you got, a Bitcoin or something?
Yeah,
you got a Bitcoin and some bubble gum. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
But you got some of Tom Brady's green juice or whatever.
Yeah, or some
TB12 shirt.
A used jock. I don't know. but I would have held on to that damn ball and I would have went to the highest bidder. Tom Brady, you make $40 million. If you want this ball, it's gonna cost you.
They kind of got him in a bad situation though. They had the national TV cameras on him. They had a team representative trying to negotiate the deal, and the guy surrounded by Bucs fans. He felt the pressure. He did best to get out of there.
They would have got a 2-piece. Get off me! Pow! I would have been just popping people. Get off me! I'm taking the football with me, and if Tom wants it, here's my number. Call me and let's talk. Let's talk money. Let's not talk Bitcoin. Let's not talk wearing a dirty jock or a jersey. I don't want to hear all that. I just want to talk cash, because on the open market, the minimum was $600,000.
Yeah.
And if you go up and say, I got Tom Brady's 600 touchdown pass, I guarantee you could have got over $1 million.
So Tom Brady's not ready to hang up his thong either.
Huh?
Pablo, you got the rifles? That's your cue. You got the rifles one more time.
Rifles?
Rifles,
yes.
I don't know what is rifles.
Give me the hot sauce.
The shooting, Pablo, the shooting.
The shooting.
Give me the hot sauce.
The spirit of John is back.
Yes, he's haunting us.
Hey, what about Patrick Mahomes? The Chiefs are struggling. He's taking on water. Everybody was ready to coronate him as the greatest of all time, and it just goes to show you it's not as easy as he made it look his first few years.
Well, they're got the same problem kind of what the Bears have. Their offensive line is terrible. He's running for his life every single Sunday, and then he's being forced to make plays, and then you see that other teams now have figured it out. You take away his 2 top weapons, Kelsey and then, the little cheetah. You take them away, all of a sudden, who's he throw to? And he's having a hard time. He's got no time to throw.
Right.
It's the same thing we're seeing with Justin Fields. He's got no time to throw, and he's got hurt in the game the other day. Do
you think they'll come back to be a contender when the playoffs are all around, or you think somebody else is going to run away with the AFC?
No, you can't. I don't think you can just turn it on. I mean, you are who you are that we're seeing right now. Unless they get their offensive line, mysteriously comes back and they play better.
And then Justin Herbert's nice out in L.A.
San Diego, well, not San Diego, but L.A. The L.A. Chargers are for real. I wouldn't sleep on the Raiders.
Yeah, they've been playing nice too.
The Raiders been playing pretty good. I mean, the AFC, Buffalo is going to be tough. I mean, whoever in the AFC gets the home field advantage, that's the whole key. Of course the Raiders are playing in the dome, so that's even if you were Kansas City, you could walk in there and beat them. It's those places like Buffalo where it's going to be where it's snowing and cold that you don't want to be in. Same thing with Kansas City. You don't want to be in those situations. It could be rainy, the field conditions suck. I mean, those teams have an advantage, in my opinion. Same thing in Green Bay and Lambeau. They have an advantage when you come in there to play those guys, especially late in the year. It's tough to win there.
Except it didn't work last year in the NFC Championship game.
No.
Tom Brady
TB12,
came in and stole their
TB12,
cookies.
Man. TB12, baby. Don't bet against TB12.
Like him or hate him, he is the greatest of all time.
Yes,
and he was
is.
on with the Mannings last night. I thought he did a nice job. He was very personable. That showed a sense of humor. I mean, a lot of people have mixed feelings about Brady. I think they're just jealous because he's won so much.
I mean, you can't deny greatness, man.
No,
I mean,
you can't.
Come on now. He's been to 2 different franchises and he's won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Okay. You can sit up there and say he had all the weapons. He didn't have all those weapons in New England the last few years of his career. It was strictly Tom Brady doing Tom Brady things. And so, now you start to see like, oh, he can't win without Belichick when he left New England. Oh, he can't. It's the system. It's the New England system. Well, he proved that wrong.
No, it's TB12.
It's TB12.
Yeah.
I mean, he took a Tampa Bay team, and I think this is the reason why he went to Tampa Bay, because we talked about this a couple of shows ago. When you see Jameson Winston throw 50 touchdowns and throw like 30 interceptions, Tom Brady's like looking at like, dang, this dude threw 50 touchdowns and I'm more accurate than him.
Yeah.
And if I can just throw half those interceptions, we go into a Super Bowl
with a coach who let me throw anytime I want, which he didn't have in New England.
And then he got a chance to be GM. Yeah. He started calling people up. Gronk came out of retirement.
Antonio Brown.
He got Antonio Brown there. All those guys are there. He still got those same weapons this year. They look really, really good against the Bears. But then again, the Bears defense is on the field way too long. They got wore out as well.
Well, as the late great Dennis Green once said, the Bears are who we thought they were, and we let him off the hook.
Yeah, they're hey, Bears fans, I feel your pain.
Hey, last thing before we get out of here, we're taping this on Tuesday evening, getting ready for Game 1 of the World Series, the Atlanta Braves against the Houston Astros. No one, I think, would have predicted that when the playoffs started. I have a soft spot for Atlanta. Hank Aaron passed away earlier this year. That was one of my boyhood heroes. I'd love to see Atlanta win, but we had Carlos Correa on the show earlier. He was a great guest. And I also have a soft spot for Dusty Baker, who endured a lot of criticism during his time in Chicago, and all he's done is win everywhere he's gone.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, he stepped in there in that Houston Astro organization when it was upside down, and they had so many problems after the the World Series where they were called cheaters and all that. And he came into that situation and righted the ship, got the guys playing well. And, they came through the White Sox and, pretty much manhandled the White Sox. And and then they had to come from behind against Boston.
Yeah, they were down 2-1.
They were down 2-1.
The next 2 games at Fenway.
And it looked like they were going to be, knocked out of it. And they came back and won. And that's and you listen to Carlos Correa and all these guys, Altuve, when they talk about Dusty as a manager, you don't hear any player that ever played for Dusty Baker have anything bad to say about him. Correa said he's a great manager. He lets us do our thing. He's encouraging. He's easy to talk to. Door always open. And that's where I think people, coaches don't understand. I see it in the NBA all the time. NBA coaches, because I'm around them a lot, it's a copycat league. Everybody's trying to copy what the winning coaches do. But at the end of the day, Phil Jackson was really good at this. And this is what I learned as a player. And then when I went to coach in Rockford, you have to be a player's coach. Okay, when I mean players coach, you have to have a pulse of your team. You have to know who they are as individuals. You have to know what's going on in their lives and do they have family problems. I mean, Phil would know who your wife's name was, your children's name was. He'd give you a book every time we went out West Coast to whatever the situation was. He'd give you a book. He'd walk on the plane. We'd be playing cards and gambling. He'd walk up and say, who's winning? Who's losing, he just knew. And then he would be like one of those situations, you come in, you play 4 games in 5 nights, players are tired, we're exhausted, nobody wants to practice. And then he'll come in and say, get the hell out of here. I don't want to see your face. Take a therapeutic day, get out, go hit golf balls, go spend time with your family. And then the players look at that and go, man, he really gets us. He understands that we're tired. He understands, he's a player's coach. And I think Dusty Baker, everywhere he's been, even when he was with the Cubs, he was a player's coach, and players will run through a wall for that type of coach.
And as the great Kendra Lust said earlier, hard work will win over talent when talent doesn't work.
Then that was a hell of a.
It was
quote.
A Johnny Bachism.
I know,
almost.
that was a Johnny Bach, but I give Kendra some credit because that was a great quote, and a lot of people need to hear that. A lot of kids need to hear that because a lot of times kids want to cut corners. People want to cut corners. To win championships, there is no cutting corners. To be a championship on a championship team, be a championship person, whether it be boxing, MMA, whatever. You cannot cut corners. You have to do the work. You got to be prepared to cry. You got to be prepared to bleed. You got to be prepared and to make sacrifices. And that's what separates winners and teams that win and teams that don't.
So if you've taken nothing else from episode 52 of Gimme the Hot Sauce, follow the worldly advice of adult film star Kendra Lust.
Yes, she is very talented.
Words to live by.
Very talented.
That's how we leave you on our 1 year anniversary.
Yes, 1 year anniversary.
Pablo,
It's your anniversary.
You got the closing music?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Give me the hot sauce.
Let's hear it.
Is this techno?
I'm not sure that's right, Stacy, but Stinger and Southside will be back next week. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We appreciate it.
I feel like I'm in a nightclub, baby. Pavel, way to go. Pavel came in.
Yeah,
hey,
thank
America,
you so much.
America, real quick. Pavel came in on short notice out of the bullpen, and he came in and closed the show for us today. Pavel, we thank you for coming in. You saved the show today because Stinger and Southside couldn't make it today. And
They'll be back next week.
We'll be back next week, and we had to get this show out today, and you came in and saved it.
Some
so we
things
appreciate
can't
it.
wait.
Exactly. And Kendra Lust could not wait.
That's right.
And we couldn't wait to talk to Kendra Lust. So shout out to Kendra Lust for being on the show today.
And fans, time to
drive home safely, Chicago.
so long, everybody.
And she'll like it too.